Welcome everyone. We are almost coming to the end of the Bhagavad Gita. This video, Arjuna receives a precious and unexpected gift. Arjuna, overwhelmed, knelt before Krishna, his hands clasped in supplication. This was the wisdom of the ages, he marveled to himself. Complex philosophy handed down through generations of wise men, extraordinarily difficult for ordinary people to comprehend. But the way Krishna explained it, breaking it down into simple, precise, easy to digest chunks, made it a pure joy for the listener. And of course, on his part, Krishna is super pleased with his earnest student, the mighty warrior whose very name struck terror in the hearts of his foes, and who knelt now with such disarming humility in front of him, drinking in his every word, unafraid to ask questions, unwilling to let a sentence pass without exploring its every nuance. Of course, Arjuna is that kind of a disciple. So, this conversation between the greatest teacher and his most devoted student now wound towards its climax, while the universal held its breath and listened. Hear from me, said Krishna, how a man can hope to attain perfection and become one with me. He from whom desire has fled, who is not attached to anything or anyone around him, who has great self-control and is able to turn away from all the temptations offered up by the senses, whose understanding of the world is clear and unselfish, who is happy in his own company, who is moderate in what he eats, what he speaks, and what he thinks, who meditates often and deeply on himself and the ways of the world, who has cast aside desire and anger, love and hate, arrogance and ego, and is always tranquil in mind. He is worthy of becoming one with me. Fixing his thoughts on me, surrendering all his actions to me, taking refuge in me, believing in me, he crosses all obstacles by my grace and reaches me, the eternal place of rest. But if he's arrogant and think to yourself, I will not fight, your resolve will be in vain, trust me, for your nature will compel you to do it anyway. Arjuna started, his senses suddenly on high alert. With marvelous felicity, Krishna had steered the discussion back to the battlefield. To him, his muscles tensing with anticipation, Arjuna focused on the Lord's next words as hard as he could. You are a warrior, Kaunteya. That is your nature. War is what you have been preparing for your whole life. It is pure conceit to think that you can will yourself not to be a warrior now. The divine force that lives in you, just as it lives in every other being, will turn you around like a puppet on a stick and make you follow your nature. Don't ever doubt that. Why do you fight it, Arjuna? Submit to the Lord inside you, the irresistible force of your nature, and do as it dictates. This is secret, sacred knowledge that I have revealed to you. Reflect on it from every aspect. And then Krishna paused in mid-sentence. And then prompted Arjuna, eager to receive the Lord's command, fully prepared to follow it to the letter. And then smiled Krishna, "Do as you choose." The world stopped. Arjuna could not believe his ears. Even at this late stage in the conversation, even after teaching him with such patience some of the greatest wisdoms in the world, even after revealing to him in such glorious and terrifying detail his true form, Krishna had not forced upon him any single course of action. The Lord had still left the choice to him. His heart overflowing, Arjuna opened his mouth to speak, but Krishna had not finished. "Listen again, one last time, to my supreme word," said Krishna. "You are beloved to me, my dearest Arjuna, and that is why I possess. That is why I will tell you once again what is good for you. Simply fix your mind on me. Be devoted to me. Sacrifice everything to me. Surrender to me. And thus you will come to me. This I promise you. For you are so dear to me. Do not fear, my friend, for I shall release you from all doubt, all grief. This wisdom that I have shared with you, this is precious, this is sacred, not meant to be repeated to anyone who is not moderate in his ways, who speaks ill of me, who has no devotion in me, or who is not willing to listen. But teach this wisdom to my devotees, for no greater service to me can any man do than spread my word and help his fellows to come to me, I who am part of them. And this I declare, he who meditates upon this conversation, our conversation, that man will have worshipped me in spirit. Even he who merely listens to this conversation with faith, without scoffing, will be liberated and join the ranks of the righteous. Arjuna trembled, completely overcome, without wishing for it, without ever dreaming of such a wondrous, blessed thing. He had unwittingly become one half of what would be celebrated as one of the world's greatest conversations. A conversation that would be studied, debated, analyzed, interpreted, taught, and read over and over again through the millennia to come by generations upon generations of both the wise and the worldly. It would bring to its millions of readers and listeners, yet unborn, joy and bliss, wisdom and reassurance, courage and solace. It would light their paths in this life and the several to come, a practical, compassionate, and clear guide for negotiating the Kurukshetra war. That was the world which was. He understood that now. "O Partha," said the blessed Lord, and his voice was full of love, "have you given my words your full attention? Have I succeeded, O Dhananjay, in sweeping away your doubts and your worries, which were born of your ignorance?" Krishna smiled. Such beautiful smile. His eyes streaming, Arjuna fell to the ground, his body prostrate, his head at Krishna's feet. "Destroyed are my doubts and gone my delusions," he cried joyfully. "Through your grace, wisdom is now mine. I stand firm with a mind clear of all conflict. My sweet Lord, I shall act according to your will." So saying, the greatest archer in the world mounted his chariot and drew himself up to his full height, raising the mighty Gandiva to his shoulder. He surveyed the forces on either side with a dispassionate eye, feeling his adrenaline surge. As he gazed, the familiar faces blurred and merged. No longer did he see either side as friend or foe, brother or uncle, teacher or mentor. All he saw before him, clear as crystal, was his sacred duty, which was to lead his side to victory by doing his job as a warrior and doing it well. It would be a terrible war, this one, but it had to be fought, isn't it? So finally, Arjuna raised his conch and blew with all his might. The earth shook, and both armies came to life, roaring with relief, thirsting for battle. The warrior nodded to his charioteer. It was time. Thank you so much. So, this was the last conversation, and finally, Arjuna is ready to take on his role as a warrior. I hope you enjoy it. Please do subscribe and share.